really the genesis point for going with barbecue is a type of food that when Caitlin and I travel, we really enjoy eating. We thought it would work in terms of the local community.
The food here is incredible.
We don't need to throw 36 different spices on it to make it good. You need to have solid quality ingredients to start with, simple preparation, execute them properly, and that's it.
And we see a lot of people in here that we don't know, and they've come just for Bud's Barbecue.
We do our brisket fresh every day, our pork, our chicken, it's all fresh every day.
As well as our baking too, we do it all homemade. So we're making our buns and our donuts fresh every morning.
It makes for a little bit more of a challenging operation. However, the quality speaks for itself. And that's our philosophy, front to back, top to bottom in this restaurant. So Bud's Barbecue is a Texas-style barbecue restaurant. We're located right on Main Street in Ogama, Saskatchewan. And we just try to make simple, well-executed food for all the good people of Ogama and the surrounding area, of course. My name's Adam Mazer. I am the co-owner and general manager / head chef of Bud's Barbecue here in Ogama, Saskatchewan.
And I'm Caitlin Mazer, Adam's wife. I am also a co-owner here at Bud's, and I do a lot of the pastry and the behind-the-scenes kind of stuff too.
My favorite dish, that depends on the week and the day and my feeling. What do I eat the most consistently? Our chicken wings. I absolutely adore our smoked chicken wings. I eat those, like I say, almost daily.
Yep. My favorite dish would probably be the shrimp tacos. I go for those most of the time. Yeah, with the donut on the side.
Gotta have a donut.
Yep. Beside the donut would be our coconut cream pie. We do a little coconut macaroon on top, and our pastry recipe actually came from Adam's grandma. So the pie pastry is quite flaky and really good.
We have a lot of phenomenal offerings. The brisket, we just recently acquired a new smoker that's actually inside the restaurant, and I'll tell you that turns out some pretty phenomenal brisket. So there's a lot of times you don't have to look too hard to find me snacking on some brisket when I have a quiet moment. Well, the origin story of Bud's kind of begins for Caitlin and I when we went to culinary school together in Saskatoon at SaskTel in 2010?
2011, 12.
2011, 2012, fair enough. That's where, again, we initially met, and we worked in fairly high-level establishments throughout our career and building experience. We actually spent some time in Charlottetown and Prince Edward Island. Caitlin was accepted to the Culinary Institute of Canada, which was a phenomenal experience for both of us.
From the beginning, when we went into school, we decided that we'd want to start our own business eventually. So the thought of Bud's started right at the beginning.
Yeah, it was a loose formation of an idea. We knew this was the end result. This is a trajectory we're always heading on. Caitlin and I didn't actually get involved with one another until quite a few years of working together. So it was a few years after school that we kind of fell in love. And yeah, so once we moved out east, we spent a year and a half in Charlottetown, and Caitlin had a really cool experience through the school.
Through the school, I did a bit of competitive baking or competitive cooking, and we went to Germany to compete in the Culinary Olympics there. And we ended up getting gold, so that was great. But then after that, we decided that we were getting ready to move back home. Mm-hmm.
So with that, we were really armed with the experience and the skill set necessary, we felt, to open our own restaurant. And so the search kind of began for what location we wanted to take on. And so one evening, I did a search on what commercial real estate was available in Ogama, because Ogama is my hometown. I was born and raised here. And lo and behold, the restaurant we currently own was up for sale.
Ogama is a very vibrant community. We're a small community of 300, but we have a lot of amenities that people say that we're more like 1,000 people. People are very friendly here. They're true Saskatchewan people. They wave at you as you go down the street in the car, whether they know you or not. Bud's Barbecue is really good for our community because lots of people come just for the barbecue. My husband and I come for Friday night date night, and we like the shrimp taco and the chicken tenders. That's what we usually get. And we see a lot of people in here that we don't know, that we know they're from out of town, and they've come just for Bud's Barbecue.
Really, the genesis point for going with barbecue is a type of food that when Caitlin and I travel, we really enjoy eating, especially of course in the southern United States. That's one of our favorite types of cuisine, and we thought it would work in terms of the local community, being that barbecue is very meat and potatoes based food. It's something that people are pretty familiar with eating out here.
At the time, barbecue wasn't a huge thing in Saskatchewan yet. Since then, it's picked up a bit, which is awesome.
Yeah, great to see.
Yeah.
We are going to be doing a little bit of butchery and prep to get ready for the smoker. First and foremost, we are going to be taking care of this lovely brisket. We always use AAA brisket, Canadian. This comes out of the Brooks, Alberta plant. And like I say, we always do a whole brisket just because that way we have the right balance of fat and protein. So we will do a little hone on our knives. And then a quick butchery. We don't take too much off. We want to take off most of this really dense subcutaneous fat here. We'll get rid of this. It goes aside. We actually grind this down and we render it for different uses that we will use it for. And so we're going to take off all this connective tissue here that is too tough to eat, and then again all the fat that won't render down in the smoker. We want to leave a good amount of fat on this brisket. Reason being is that we are cooking it for a long duration of time, low and slow in the smoker, right? And so we do need a degree of moisture in there, but again, this is a extraordinarily fatty cut of meat, so we need to take some out. Now there's two main muscle groups that we're dealing with in a brisket here. There's the flat, which is often leaner. It's got this nice fat cap on top, which we really want to preserve. That enables us to have a really nice, juicy, moist brisket. And that takes us up to the point here, which is the more marbled, fattier of the two cuts. This is absolutely fantastic for just slicing and eating, or my personal favorite, which is burnt ends. And then we do get actually a reasonable amount of trim that goes into our fresh ground burgers. So that is where the fat component of our burger grind comes from, is what we're taking off of this brisket. Kind of helps us ensure that we're putting quality food into our burgers. We're not just getting some random grind. And then the other cut we use for our burgers would be a beef eye of round, which is nice and tender yet high meat to fat ratio, so we can really dial in our ratios for the burgers. Now we're ready to season. And as I've said before, we do Texas style brisket. So what that is just kosher salt and cracked black pepper. And that's all I have here. And so we're just gonna do a nice even seasoning. Now it seems like I may be putting this seasoning on a little heavy. However, this is the only seasoning that the brisket gets, right? So what we're putting on the surface is intended to season what's on the inside as well. So we have to make sure we season it liberally enough that everything is seasoned adequately. Now our pepper. It's a very simple seasoning that we use, like I say, just salt, pepper, and smoke. Starting with a quality piece of meat is also crucial to getting a good product. If you're using a utility grade brisket, that it's going to be, spotty as far as its fat coverage and its how much marbling is in it, it'll lead to an inferior product. There's just no way about it. We find we have the best luck when using good quality ingredients. So that's ready to go. We're gonna set this onto our smoker rack. And now this lovely brisket will be ready for anywhere from 16 to 18 hours. So we're about to load our smoker for the evening. So we're gonna start with our brisket that we just finished seasoning and butchering. That goes in. And then our pork shoulder. So this is what we use for our pulled pork. Now that's your basic Boston butt, as they call it, or pork shoulder. Same exact seasoning rub that we use on our ribs and our chicken. And those will go in for a nice 12 to 16-hour smoke overnight. So we close her up. Fire away. There you are, sir. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Adam and Caitlin they're great people, great members of the community, and they run this place awesome. It's always a friendly environment. The food here is incredible. I haven't had a bad thing on the menu here. Everything's been really good. Today I had the brisket sandwich and Caesar salad, and it was incredible. I pretty well get that every time I come here. And the donuts are incredible. My wife and kids especially love the donuts.
Right now I'm going to be making our dough, and we use this for both the donuts and our buns. And we make this fresh every day, so we've got fresh baking for everybody. Just going to scale out the milk here. All right, now add a bit of oil and our eggs. When we started out at the restaurant here in 2020, we would make fresh donuts every day, and some days we wouldn't even sell the 7 donuts that our first batch made. And now we're selling definitely over 2 dozen a day, and then we just got an order for 16 dozen donuts coming in April. So we've been growing a little bit, which is nice to see. There we go. And add all my wet here. And for our doughs, we like to use fresh yeast. Just the flavor that you get from it is quite a bit better, and the product, it rises quite a bit nicer. Add that here too. And then add our sugar and salt and our flour. Now it's ready to hit the mixer. We're gonna mix it for about 5 minutes, just enough to get the gluten to develop and to get a nice dough to work with here. All right, it's come together pretty nice, and then we'll put it into this bus bin to let it relax and rise. We started with a pretty basic recipe, but throughout that first year we had a couple tweaks that we needed to make. So this is an original Bud's barbecue recipe. Here we go. Just gonna do a couple folds, and then we're gonna send it to the proofer where it sits and rises.
It was in the month of January in 2020 that we signed all the paperwork and basically put the deal into motion on purchasing the restaurant.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we were expecting our first child, Charlotte.
Right.
And we just had her in November. So we figured that we might as well pull the trigger now because I wouldn't want to go back to work full time with a newborn baby either.
Yeah, so Charlotte was born in November of 2019, and we decided what better way to spend her formative months than to open a restaurant. So when she was the ripe age of 4 months old, we took possession of this building. It was the end of February, beginning of March. And so began the renovations. The place was
In need of some work.
Yeah, to say the least. It was, it needed some cleanup, some restructuring. We added a few features that we thought would be beneficial to the restaurant. And as everyone is well aware, in the second or third week of March was the first COVID-19 lockdown. So that was a major hurdle that we had to battle through, being that we had no money coming in and we're on the verge of opening our first restaurant, and a global catastrophe unfolds. So that was...
Yeah, so it took a bit of a turn on our business plan and how we decided we wanted to run the place, because for one, we couldn't open up to the public. Another one, we had a new baby that, how do you run a restaurant when you have a new baby as well? So we started out as a takeout only restaurant.
And then over the next couple of years, things changed in our business. We began with very humble beginnings here. We were hand washing dishes every night. I was usually here at 8 a.m. and Caitlin was here before, and then I'd be here until 10:30 or 11 p.m. And we did nothing but work, and we loved it. Actually, it was
great.
It was crazy. It was busy, but we were able to find our way through that. And now we employ, in the winter when we're slower, we're around 4 or 5 staff members. In the summer, we go up to 7 to 10 staff members, depending on what kind of events we're taking on. So we've worked ourselves into a position where we actually can help support people in the community and really hopefully provide something that's unique and exciting for the community and for the people of Southern Saskatchewan as a whole.
Working for Adam and Caitlin is amazing. They are wonderful people. Their kids are great. I love working here. It's a great job, and it's great people to work with and great customers. It's a good time. The pastry here is so good. The pies, the donuts, all amazing. When we do our feature donuts, Caitlin and Julie get to have some fun with what kind of things they make, and it's always a good treat.
So I just took it out of the proofer. Now it's risen up quite nicely. I'm just gonna peel it out of here. Okay, now I will roll it out and get all the gas bubbles out of there. We roll it pretty thick still because we want the big fluffy buds style donuts. There we go. Now cut them all out. All right, get them all cut out here. We do anywhere from 2 to 4 dozen donuts a day, depending on the day of the week and how much we're selling. And then we'll cut all the little donut holes out. And then with the remaining dough, we'll ball it up and then let it rest for a little bit, scale it out, and this is where we get our buns from. So they're fresh every day too. We didn't open the restaurant with the idea of having donuts on the menu every day, but after a few weeks of kind of working, we thought, hey, donuts are kind of in right now. Why don't we give it a whirl? So we did, and as time went on, they kind of just like picked up and people got really excited about them. And then some people just started coming just strictly for the donuts. So we figured, well, guess we're stuck with them. So we kept on doing them. I'm glad we did. I really do enjoy making them. They're pretty fun. And then in the winter, when it's a bit slower, we'll do specialty donuts and kind of get creative with those. Hopefully someday we'll be able to get a donut fryer. There. And now we head to the other room for the fryer. Running a business and balancing child care and all that sort of thing, it has its challenges at times. But we definitely depend on Adam's family and my family to come out and help with childcare as much as they can. And the daycare here is really great too. Charlotte, she's 3.5 and she's a little ball of fire. She was here most of the time when we were starting out, so she got the most exposure to the restaurant. I was feeding her here while we were taking orders from customers. She is our in-house drawer, so anytime she's here, she likes to draw pictures for all the customers that come through. And Kendall, she is going to be 11 months old at the end of the month here. Being as we are a small town restaurant, a lot of the time we have the girls here.
Well, my philosophy on food as a whole is to not overcomplicate things. I've worked with people and I've worked at places that spent a lot of time making things more difficult and more complicated than they needed to be. And I found that never really positively impacted customer experience. And so where that brings Caitlin and myself to in this restaurant is we really try to have a very simple, technique-minded approach where we're not overcomplicating things. If we can make a sauce out of 4 ingredients, we're gonna do that. We're not gonna add another 5 superfluous ingredients just to make it fancy or for menu naming. We want to keep things as simple, direct, and as tasty as we can. And that philosophy really, that permeates through everything we do here. We don't try to reinvent the wheel and make things, again, more complicated than they need to be. It's the same for our butchery or how we smoke things. So the Texas style preparation of the brisket is simply just the trim, get it to where you want your fat content, and then the salt and pepper, that's it. We don't need to throw 36 different spices on it to make it good. That's not necessarily what food needs. You need to have humble, solid, quality ingredients to start with, simple preparation, execute them properly, and that's it. And that's our philosophy, front to back, top to bottom in this restaurant. Okay, our brisket and our pork shoulder have been in for about 14 hours now. So we're gonna go ahead and open it up and we're gonna check and see if everything's done with a good old-fashioned wiggle test. That looks jiggly enough to me. So the brisket comes up and out, and to help keep everything delicious and moist, we have some melted beef fat here from the fat that we reserved earlier. Now this helps to retain moisture in the brisket, and well, fat is flavor, they say. Okay, that looks great. We're gonna take our butcher paper and we're going to wrap it again. So that butcher paper will help retain moisture and flavor. And because we do this fresh, this holds throughout the day and we slice off as we need it. And our pork shoulder is ready as well. So that comes up and out. And we always use a bone-in pork shoulder for our pulled pork. And you can see, again, nice flexibility. And if everything has gone well, this bone should essentially pull right out. Everything comes clean. Now that's the indicator that this is ready to go. When that bone comes right out, we know that pork is ready to shred. That's perfect. That's exactly what we like. And you can see we've got a nice smoke ring. They're pink. Nice bark. So we'll shred this down, and then that's ready for our customers. Once we're done with this, it's time to load in our chicken and our ribs that we prepped yesterday as well. So we'll slide this out of the road. In we go with our chicken first. Chicken goes up near the heat source so that gets crispy. And then our ribs. Now the ribs will take longer. The chicken comes out before the ribs, so the ribs have enough time to finish cooking. And there's a bit of there will be drippage from the chicken, but I'm not worried about that at all because, like I say, these ribs take another 3 to 4 hours after the chicken is done, so everything is 100% cooked. There's no chance of any foodborne illness. So this will go in for about 3 hours for that chicken, and then the ribs will be another 3 to 4. We decided to name Bud's BBQ as such because of my grandfather, Morris Greer. He went by Bud, and so when I was a youngster, we would always do all of the family gatherings at my grandparents' place. So Grandpa Bud would always be up early in the morning cooking up a big mean breakfast to feed all of my cousins and my siblings and myself, and there was piles of us. So I'd be up early and I'd go upstairs, and Grandpa Bud would usually be in the kitchen cooking up one of his mean breakfasts. And so I'd just sit at the counter, and you know, I would be fed bacon and all sorts of stuff, and it was a lot of fond memories for me growing up, being able to kind of share that experience with my grandfather. And I feel like that was one of the genesis points in my really loving food, and being able to like share positive feelings through food. And so as a kind of homage to my grandfather, we decided to call it Bud's BBQ.
So we've got a nice fresh honey glaze here. And in this, it's just icing sugar, honey, water, a little bit of vanilla. Normally we get our honey from our beehives out on our farm actually. Adam and I just recently moved out to his parents' farm, and we've got 2 beehives out there. Unfortunately this fall we weren't able to get our honey harvest off, so there's just sitting in the basement waiting to be harvested. So we had to buy the honey, but we still like to use as local as possible. So it is Canadian honey. And most days we do sell out of donuts, But if it happens to carry over to the next day, we always sell the day olds as half price because we just value freshness and the best quality ever. And we want our customers to be happy with that. There we are, ready to go.
We are available on our website, budsbbq.ca. We are on social media, Facebook, Instagram. Post all of our daily specials on social media. Our website, we like to keep that up to date with our current menu. So we'd love to have people out and try us out if they've never been, or return customers, come on back. The most rewarding part of my job is being able to interact with the customer base and see how they're enjoying our products, because a lot of what goes into the food service industry, and I think this would hold true with a lot of people that are in management or ownership, or for that matter, any position in food service, a lot of the satisfaction you derive is from being able to make people happy with food. And that speaks a lot to my younger formative years where I was able to enjoy a lot of positive feelings associated with cooking and feeding people and eating food. And so I think that's where I get most of my satisfaction out of is asking somebody how they enjoyed their meal, and when they have a positive response, or better yet, when it's the best I've ever had, or the best brisket, or this is the best mac and cheese, or that's the icing on the cake for me. That's the good stuff right there.
Is there a restaurant or beverage producer you'd like to see featured on maxTV Local? Let us know at SaskTel.com/local.